Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to start by standing at the top of our mat. So come to close to the top of your mat and then make your feet hip distance apart and make sure that they match. So we don't want one set of toes turning out a little wider than the other. We want our big toe pointing towards the top of the mat, everything aligned right underneath your hips. And that may feel a little awkward if one hip has a tendency to turn out a little bit. So once you adjust that, we'll let hands come down alongside the hips and then go ahead and close your eyes. And we're just going to pause and check in, see how we're feeling balanced on the feet. If you want to feel unstable at any point, just open your eyes. Take a soft gaze instead. Otherwise, see if you can find yourself somewhere between your heels and the toes pads of the feet, so over those arches. And check in, see how you feel physically and how you feel mentally. And then shift awareness onto your breathing. If it's comfortable, as always, in and out through your nose. If that's just not a good option for you, breathe however you need to. Start to notice the rhythm of your breath. Our inhales and exhales about the same length. Maybe the exhales are a little longer than the inhales. And then from here, we're going to rotate the thumbs back towards the back of the mat. So spin those palms open, thumbs back, pinkies towards the front of the mat. Take a moment here to just reach down through those fingers, especially through your middle finger, extending that down to the earth, and feel how that activates not just the muscles of your arms, creates that dynamic tension of muscle hugging the bone, but it also is going to engage the muscles of your chest, your back, your shoulders. You might even feel the muscles of your core fire up. And then slowly, with intention, eyes can stay closed or go ahead and blink those open if you'd like. We're going to inhale, sweep those palms all the way up towards the sky, eventually bringing arms straight up above the shoulders, reaching through those fingertips. As you exhale, let the arms just fall slowly with control back down to the outside of the hips. If that's too much rotation for your shoulders, adjust however you need to. As always, you can opt out or modify, but if it feels good, next inhale, sweep those arms slowly up towards the sky. Extend maybe a little taller in the inhale. At the peak of the inhale, exhale. Release that back down, and we're going to do that just one more time. So when you're ready, inhale, sweep, reach up. Feel how your tops of shoulders have reached up. The shoulder blades actually slide up the back a little bit as you reach as much as possible, and then exhale. Keep awareness on those shoulder blades. Feel them slide down the back slightly. Once the backs of the hands come back alongside your hips, you can rotate palms back towards you. Feel free to kind of rotate those wrists around a few times. Release any tension that might be lingering in your wrist today. And then from here, we're going to bring the hands together, palm to palm at the center of the chest into our prayer position. And we're going to pause there and just press into those hands. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and separate the hands. Inhale, reach it back up towards the sky, tall mountain. Exhale, swan dive into that first forward fold. So put as much bend in the knees as you need, especially to come down to the floor. Maybe hands come down to reach the mat. Maybe they come to the fronts of the legs. We're going to inhale to straighten the spine. So parallel your torso to the mat. Exhale, maybe you fold down a little deeper. And we'll do this flow about 3 or 4 times, easing into the backs of the legs and into the muscles of the back. So at all times, knees can be very bent, or if it starts to feel better, maybe legs start to straighten a little bit. Maybe one more flow up and down with your breath. Inhale to extend, exhale to fold down deeply. And then we're going to place the hands down. We're going to keep that right foot as it is, but we're going to step that left foot back. Find high lunge on that left side. At any point, you can release that knee to the mat if that feels better. If you're feeling stable, feeling strong, keep knee lifted. Press that left heel back, but it is lifted from the mat. And then perhaps you want to inhale, sweep, reach the arms up towards the sky. Torso up then. High lunge. Extending through those fingertips. Hips might start up a little high. There may be a little less bend in that front knee. If it feels good, maybe deepen the bend in the knee. Maybe bring the hips a little bit lower. And check in with that knee. We do not want the knee coming out past the toes. If possible, we want to stack that knee right above that right heel. Maybe one more deep breath in. Feel free to stay there. Otherwise, we're going to exhale, sweep the hands back behind us, interlace the fingers, maybe even press the palms into each other behind the back. And then see if it feels good to straighten those arms. Maybe reach the arms down the length of your back right leg. Feel how that opens the chest, stretches the shoulders, squeezes the upper back. And again, very much optional. If this is feeling intense, stay here. Or as always, you can come out. Otherwise, we're going to see if it feels okay to dip our right shoulder down towards that right knee. And then arms are going to extend more up towards the sky. Feel how that has really shifted a lot of work into that right leg, that right glute muscle. Push that foot down into the mat. On your next inhale, we'll lead with the head to slowly straighten up. Exhale, unlace those hands, place them down to the mat, and we will step back to downward facing dog. Now that we're in downward facing dog, we'll take a moment, kind of work out those feet a little bit, maybe pedal out the feet, lifting one heel, and then pressing the heel back and forth. Maybe it's shifting your weight kind of side to side in the hips. And then we're going to inhale, sweep the right leg up and back to three-legged dog. Exhale, we're going to see if we can step that up towards the hands. See if we can step it all the way up to that lunge position. And then we're going to go ahead and step the left up to meet the right. We're going to inhale, come half high. Exhale, fold it deeply. And then this time we will step the right foot back down the mat, finding high lunge on the left side. Again, modify however you need to if you need to release the right knee. Otherwise, knee lifted, heel pressing back towards the back of the mat. Maybe inhale, sweep, reach the torso up, reach through those fingertips, crown of head. And again, maybe hips start a little high. As we breathe here for a few moments, maybe the hips sink a little deeper. You can stay where you're at, or on your next exhale, we'll sweep the hands back behind us, interlace those hands, whichever hand naturally goes on top, whichever thumb goes on top. Go ahead and reverse those. And then again, we can press palms into each other. Maybe we extend those hands down the back of that back leg, opening up through the chest, the shoulders. One more deep breath in, and again, you can absolutely stay here, come out. Otherwise, we're going to exhale, dip that left shoulder forward towards that left knee. Feel all of the strength that it takes to hold this. Those arms can reach more towards the sky. Left leg, left glute firing up more. Press into that left heel. You'll feel the muscles of the core absolutely engaged to support and hold you hovering here. On your next inhale, lead with the head, straighten back up. Exhale, place the hands, stepping back to downward dog. Taking one full breath in downward facing dog. And then as you inhale, we'll sweep, reach the left leg up and back, three-legged dog. Exhale, see if you can step that up towards the hands. And then we'll step the right foot forward, forward fold. inhale, we're going to stand, reach it all the way up to our tall mountain. And then as you exhale, we're going to sweep the hands down alongside the hips. We're going to take airplane pose. So we're going to bring those thumbs rotating in now towards the hips, pinkies out to the sides, and then press the palms back behind you so they're coming beyond the glutes. And then maybe you can squeeze those thumbs in a little bit closer. Maybe the shoulder blades can come in a little bit closer. So a lot of engagement in the upper back. And if you'd like to add gravity, we'll put some bend in the knees to help support the back. And then we're just going to parallel that torso to the floor. So taking a gaze out maybe to the top of the mat or over the top of the mat here. Arms still pressing up and back. Now they're fighting against gravity completely. See if you can really squeeze and engage those muscles as much as possible. Create a lot of tension, work those muscles so that we can release and relax them. One more deep breath in as you exhale, sweep the arms forward, relaxing into forward fold. From forward fold, maybe you want to kind of sway it around. Maybe move the head around or shrug the shoulders up and down. When you're ready, we're going to place the hands down. We're going to step walk, or if you like to hop back, we'll come back to downward facing dog. And then from downward facing dog, we're going to inhale. Go ahead and come down to our child's pose. So go ahead and release the knees, untuck the toes, hips back. Take a moment, as always, to settle your forehead, whether it's down to maybe stacked fists or maybe all the way to the mat with arms extending long. And then I want you to really let yourself settle here for just a moment. That work that we were doing in our airplane pose, feel that release. Let the shoulder blades separate a little bit. Feel the muscles of the back, especially the upper back, relax. And then from here, we're going to outstretch those arms out in front of us. If those were under the forehead, we're going to make sure hands are separated shoulder distance apart. And then we're going to inhale, come forward to modified plank. Check in with the wrists. If we need to take a fist for a wrist instead, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, palms pressing into the mat. Engaging the muscles of the core so hips have moved beyond the knees. They're not hovering above those knees. We're engaging that core more. And then if you would like, you can lift the knees, come up to high plank. So toes on the mat, palms on the mat, or maybe it's those fingers, knuckles if you're taking fists. At any point, you can release back to child's pose from here if that's what is calling to you. Otherwise, we're going to see if side plank to the right feels like a good option. So if it does, and you're in full plank, we're going to roll to the outer edge of that right foot, putting the weight just on the edge of the right foot, the right palm. Then the left foot can either maybe stack on the right, it can go in front or behind. If you're taking modified, you're going to bend that right knee and swing the foot out to the edge of the mat, so out to the outer right side, and then the left leg can straighten back, and then you're kind of pressing the inside or trying to press that whole sole of your left foot into the mat. And then either way, we can open up the left arm up towards the sky, whether we're in full or modified. Breathing here, pressing into that right hand to really feel yourself supported, strong here. And again, no, you can stay here. You can come out early if you need. Otherwise, we're going to see if a wild thing feels like a good pose. So for wild thing, we're going to bend that upper left knee, and we're going to step the foot back behind us. So it's a bent knee stepping back onto the toes, the pad of the foot. And there you can kind of lift your hip a little bit higher, turn your chest, your heart a little bit more towards the sky, and then extend now the left arm more out alongside the left ear, palm opening up towards the sky. And you can do this in full or modified. For modified, chances are those left toes are stepping back just behind those right toes. Few breaths here. Feel that opening across your chest, and then very slowly we'll make our way back out to side plank, and then back to full or modified plank. And then from there, we will all release the knees to modified plank, and then we're going to lower it all the way down to the mat. Once you come down to the mat, if it feels good with your neck, go ahead and let your right cheek come down to the mat. Let the hands, the arms extend back by the hips. Let the hips relax so the big toes turn into touch, heels open wide if that feels good. If you feel a little tight through the muscles of your low back, your hips, feel free to kind of rock those hips up and down a little bit. Let them eventually settle and relax. See if you can let the fronts of the shoulders melt down to the floor and relax. And then we're going to kind of take a modification of locust pose. So we'll go ahead and now bring the feet into touch. Bring the big toes, the heels into touch, extending back through those toes. Start to press down really firmly through the tops of the legs, the feet. You might feel the abdominals engage as well. The tailbone's going to tuck slightly here. And then we're going to inhale. We're going to untwist the head, lift the head, the chest, the shoulders. And we're going to keep the feet touching the mat. Grounding is here. If it feels good, we're going to inhale. Lift the arms. Maybe start to feel, maybe even your rib cage float up from the mat. Maybe just part of your rib cage. Maybe just the chest. And then from there, if it feels okay, we're actually going to take a little bit of a crescent moon shape. We're going to reach those right fingers a little closer towards the right side. Beyond that right hip, maybe a little more towards the toes. Still keeping that lift, so you're going to feel a little bit of a stretch to the left side, but a lot of engagement through the right. Go ahead and inhale, straighten the spine back out. Exhale, melt it back down. We'll pause, breathe here for a few moments. And then we're going to tuck the hands back underneath the shoulders, hug the elbows in towards the sides of the ribs. Inhale, press back up through modified plank. Feel free to stay there or to lift those knees, tuck those toes and lift into full plank. Pause and breathe there, and then we'll move into that side plank on the left. So again, for full, you're just rolling to the outer edge of that foot, finding where that right foot feels best being placed, right arm extending straight up towards the sky. Modified, that bent left knee, we're spinning the foot out towards that left side of the mat. That's our little kickstand or support. Right leg can then straighten out, either inside of the left foot pressing down, or if you're able to rotate the ankle, the sole of that right foot, and then right arm up towards the ceiling or the sky. Breathing here. And again, you can stay here or make your way out, or we can turn this into Wild Thing. Pick up the right foot, bend the knee, step those right toes, right pad of the foot back down to the mat, and then open the hips a little bit more towards the sky. Maybe really push that right hip up. Right arm extends now more down over that right ear, and then maybe open that palm towards the sky. Opening your chest up here. Good. Maybe one more full breath. And then take your time. With an inhale, we'll slowly start to reverse, come back through side plank. And then release that back forward to full or modified plank. If you're in full, go ahead and release the knees. We'll lower all the way back down to the mat. And this time letting your opposite cheek come down to the mat. Hands, arms back alongside your hips. Big toes into touch, heels out, open wide. Few breaths here. And then again, we will prepare for that modification of locust once again. So go ahead and bring big toes, heels into touch. Start engaging the muscles of the legs. Press the fronts of the legs, tops of feet, toes into the mat. And then we will untwist and lift the head. Lift those hands, arms back up. Maybe we float the chest up from the mat, maybe a bit of the ribs. And then if it feels okay, we're going to reach those left fingers a little further back towards that left foot. So again, kind of creating a crescent moon shape with that upper body. Side stretch to the right. So a lot of engagement through that left side. And then we will inhale to straighten the spine back out. Exhale, melt it back down to the floor. Pause and rest and breathe there. Let the fronts of the shoulders melt down. Maybe let the big toes turn in again. Heels drop out wide, relaxing those hips. Just 2 more full, deep, relaxing breaths here. Those exhales really letting go. Maybe even let the exhale elongate and come out through your mouth. 1 more full breath. And then we're going to bring those hands underneath the shoulders, hug the elbows in, slowly press back up through modified plank, and now all the way back to our child's pose. Again, adjust, get comfortable there, let yourself relax and breathe. If you're feeling your wrists from all of that weight that we had put on the wrists, feel free to shake those out or rotate the hands around, release any tension in those wrists. And then from here, we're going to roll ourselves all the way up to seated. Once you come up to seated, you can just let your legs extend out in front of you. The left leg out straight, flexing that foot. And then we're going to bend the right knee. Go ahead and place that foot, if possible, over to the outside of the left thigh. Otherwise, it can stay to the inside. And then we're going to move into a spinal twist. So the first thing I want you to do is extend up through your spine. So we're stacking the vertebrae the way that they naturally would stack. And then we're going to exhale and start twisting towards the bent leg side. So towards the right. Let your navel twist around. Feel that up into your ribs. Eventually into your chest, your shoulders. And if it feels good, into your neck, bringing your gaze back over that right shoulder. The left arm maybe hugs that right thigh across the body. Right fingertips down behind the tailbone. Working into that twist with our straight up and down spine. We don't want to be pushing the left side of our spine out, rounding in strange places. We don't want to put that pressure on our discs and our back. So only twisting as far as you can while keeping the spine straight up and down. It does become harder to breathe, but keep breathing as deep as you can, working that diaphragm muscle up and down. Maybe 1 more deep breath in. As you exhale, we will slowly unwind the spine, come back to neutral. Let that right knee open out wide, slide that sole of the right foot up to the inside of the left thigh. And then from here, we're going to inhale, extend up, reach all the way up through the crown of your head, through the fingertips. Exhale, we're going to swan dive forward over that straightened leg. And we're going to ease into this. On the inhales, we're going to flatten the spine. So let that float you up as high as it takes. Exhale, round, let yourself come down a little bit deeper. Let's do that 2 more times. The inhale will straighten. Feel everything in your back come into alignment. Exhales. Maybe your forehead comes a little closer towards the leg. 1 more flow. And then this time as you exhale, see if you can let everything just relax, melt towards that leg. Can you just let the torso get heavy? Let the arms get heavy. If that does not feel comfortable at any point, you can straighten it back up. Otherwise, relaxing and breathing there. We'll stay here for a few moments, a few breaths. See if you can let gravity do the work. Just let your torso, arms, and head get heavy. And then with an inhale, we will straighten the spine now all the way back up. And then we'll just switch out those legs. We'll let the right leg extend out. Flex that right foot, toes towards the sky, and then bend the left knee. If possible, we can just step that foot over to the outside of the right thigh. Otherwise, it can stay to the inside of the left thigh. Deep breath to extend up through your spine. And as you exhale, start twisting towards the bent leg side, towards the left. So navel, ribs, chest, shoulders, eventually maybe into the neck, to that cervical spine. Left fingertips back behind the tailbone. Maybe hug that right arm around that left leg. And again, working on those deep, relaxed breaths here. Working the diaphragm muscle. Maybe one more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, we will slowly unwind the spine, eventually coming back to neutral. And now we'll go ahead and bring that left sole of the foot to the inside of the right thigh, letting the knee open out and down towards the ground. Inhale, extend, reach up through those fingertips. Exhale, swan dive forward over that right leg. And again, we'll ease into that. So inhales, straighten the spine, flatten the back, float that as high as it takes. Exhale, relaxing the torso back down towards the leg. And we'll inhale to extend, even reaching out through the crown of your head. Exhale, melting it forward. And then one more time. So on the inhale, you feel a lot of engagement. Squeeze the shoulders up and back. Reach through your head. Exhale, folding it back forward. And again, if possible, resting there. Letting gravity do the work. But as always, feel free to make your way out early if that feels best. Can the arms get heavy? They're going to help separate the shoulder blades a little bit. Relax the upper back. Can your forehead just hang towards the top of that leg? One more full breath here. And then as you inhale, we will straighten it slowly all the way back up. And then from here, we're going to come into butterfly pose. So you can go ahead and bring now right foot to meet the sole of the left. Let both knees drop open wide. Bring those feet as close or as wide as feels good. You can even take hold of the feet or the ankles with your hands. Inhale to straighten the spine. Reach up through the crown of your head. Exhale, if it feels good, maybe you start to hinge forward from the hips. Maybe it's just a little, maybe it's a lot. Maybe you can fold your torso all the way to the floor, depending on if you are very flexible here or not. And then a few breaths there. If it feels good, you can use the hands or even the forearms to gently press the outer edge of those legs a little closer to the mat. So big stretch in those inner thighs, hips. You should still be able to breathe relaxed and comfortably as you do this. And then with your next inhale, we will straighten up through the spine, bring those knees back in close. And then from here, you can go ahead and roll all the way down to your back. Go ahead and hug those knees into your chest. Maybe rock that side to side. And then from here, we're going to see if fish pose feels like a good option. So we can start with a bend in the knees, bring soles of feet to the mat. We're going to rock the hips side to side and slide the backs of the hands underneath the glutes. So palms pressing into the mat. If it's comfortable, we're going to bring those forearms a little closer. Maybe even the shoulders come in a little closer. And then if it feels good with your back, you can extend the legs all the way out straight, or feel free to keep those bent. And then we're going to push into the palms into the forearms so much that the entire torso floats up towards the sky. From there, if it's comfortable, keeping that weight, that pressure in the forearms, the palms, you can start to tip your head back. So big arch through the back. Let the crown of your head lightly touch the mat. So we're not putting the weight onto the head, the neck. That would be dangerous. We are keeping the weight onto those palms, those forearms. And just opening up our chest towards the sky. Deep breaths here. And then on your next inhale, we're going to lift the head, start to soften back down. We're just reversing. Soften your spine back down. Rock those hands and arms back out from underneath you. And then feel free to hug the knees into the chest and maybe rock that side to side a few times. And from here, we'll just move into our supine butterfly pose. So once again, we'll bring knees to bend, soles of feet into touch. Let the knees, now we just let them open wide. There's no forcing, no pressing of the outer edge of the legs towards the earth like when we were seated. We're just going to let gravity do the work here. If at any point it feels like too much for your hips, maybe your low back, you can always bring knees back up early. Otherwise, settle in here. Maybe we place the hands, the arms somewhere more comfortable. They probably already moved to that place. That can be resting on top of the hips, the abdomen, maybe out alongside the body, or maybe even relaxing out above your head. Close the eyes here and feel that pull, that weight of gravity along with the own heaviness of your body. Melting the back of your head into the mat. Maybe melting those shoulder blades, backs of shoulders into the mat. Relaxing the weight of the legs. Feel the edge of the feet, the blade of the feet melt into the floor. And then on your next inhale, we'll slowly bring those knees back up. Feel free to hug the knees into the chest or rock it side to side. And then we will do our walk through of our body, asking each and every part to fully relax and let go. So get as comfortable as possible. If your back feels great, extend the legs all the way out, heels to the corners of the mat, feet dropping open wide. Or maybe your back needs support. Maybe you slide a cushion behind the knees, or you can keep knees bent, knees resting against one another with feet wide. Hands, arms typically out alongside your torso. And if you have an eye pillow you're using, go ahead and place that over your eyes at this time. I relax my feet and ankles. My feet and ankles are completely relaxed. I relax my shins, calves, and knees. My shins, calves, and knees are completely relaxed. I relax my thighs and hamstrings. My thighs and hamstrings are completely relaxed. I relax my hips and pelvis. My hips and pelvis are completely relaxed. I relax my hands and wrists. My hands and wrists are completely relaxed. I relax my forearms, elbows, and upper arms. My forearms, elbows, and upper arms are completely relaxed. I relax my upper back, middle back, and lower back. My upper, middle, and lower back are completely relaxed. I relax through my abdomen and ribs. My abdomen and ribs are completely relaxed. And I relax through my chest and shoulders. My chest and shoulders are completely relaxed. I relax my neck, face, and jaw. My neck, face, and jaw are completely relaxed. I allow my entire body to fully relax. My entire body is fully and completely relaxed. We'll slowly start to bring our awareness back in, starting with that sensation of breath that travels in, expands out. And as we exhale, just releases back down, releases the breath. Noticing that breath. And then once that feels complete, we'll shift awareness into the center of the palms. Notice if you have any sensations or pulsation or vibrations happening here. And then let your own little movements begin. Maybe it starts with a wiggle or a stretch of a finger or a toe. And then let those movements grow outward. Maybe it becomes more wiggling, more stretching. Maybe eventually a full body pencil stretch. Or maybe one last hug of those knees into your chest. Take your time to find those movements, stretches. Once that feels complete, you can rock yourself over to your right side, pausing and resting there for a few moments, a few breaths. Take as long as you need on your side, and just eventually when that feels complete, you can start to press yourself back up to whatever seated position feels most comfortable at this moment. Once you find that seated position, find a place for the hands, the arms to rest, whether it's in the lap, on the thighs, or the edge of your knees. And take a moment to check in. How are you feeling at this moment? How does your breath feel? How do the muscles of your body feel? How are you feeling emotionally? And then we'll bring our palms together at the center of the chest. Prayer position one last time. Thank you so much for joining me. It is always my honor to teach you. Namaste.